Lila stood on the sidewalk longer than she meant to. The cream-colored house in front of her looked the same as she remembered, the chain-link fence stretching around the corner. Lila lifted the latch on the gate and walked up the short path to the front door. Her backpack tugged at her shoulders, heavy with everything she hadn't unpacked yet. Fear, guilt, relief, grief, and a future she didn't quite trust. The door opened before she could knock. Charlie, her real name was Charlotte, which she loathed, stood there in socked feet, hair pulled into a messy ponytail, eyes widening in disbelief. "Lila?" she whispered. That was all it took. The world wobbled a bit, and Lila stepped forward, collapsing into Charlie's arms. Charlie didn't hesitate. She wrapped her up like she had been waiting for this moment. "You're here," Charlie said, voice thick. "You're really here." Inside, the house smelled like laundry detergent and toast. Mrs. Carter appeared from the kitchen, her face going pale when she saw Lila. Mr. Carter followed, already reaching for a chair. They didn't rush her. They didn't overwhelm her. They gave her water, a blanket, space. And when Lila finally spoke, haltingly, carefully, they listened. They listened when she said she couldn't go home. They listened when she said she didn't feel safe. They listened when she said she was tired of running. No one questioned her truth. There was nothing to question. Charlie had spent the night once, just once, in the years they had known each other. The girls had been cheerleading in the backyard, which was apparently too much for Lila's stepfather, Rob, and he shouted at them both for minutes, which made Charlie cry. When Charlie described this to her parents, it was decided that any sleepovers would occur in the Carter home. Mrs. Carter knelt in front of her, eyes steady and kind. "You can stay here," she said gently, "if you want to." Lila's chest tightened. "For how long?" she asked. Mrs. Carter smiled softly. "As long as you need." Charlie beamed. "I always wanted a sister." That night, Lila slept in Charlie's room. Not deeply, not yet, but she slept without flinching at every sound, without bracing for footsteps, without counting exits. Charlie let the radio on, like she used to do when they would have sleepovers. In the morning, sunlight streamed through the curtains. It felt unreal. Healing didn't happen all at once. It happened in small, quiet ways. In pancakes at the table, in borrowed clothes that became hers, in walking to school without dread sitting in her stomach, in being asked what she wanted instead of being quiet as possible so no one would notice her. There were meetings, adults with calm voices, plans made carefully. Lila was never forced to return to the place she'd escaped. She was believed. That mattered more than anything. Charlie stayed close through all of it, sometimes chatty, sometimes quiet, always there. "You don't have to be okay all the time," Charlie told her once, lying on the floor surrounded by homework. "Thank you," Lila replied, tears spilling across her cheeks. Lila carried Rowan with her everywhere, in memory, in guilt, in questions without answers. Some nights she cried quietly into her pillow, wondering if she'd done the right thing, wondering if survival had cost her something she could never repay. One afternoon, months later, a social worker sat with her at the kitchen table. "There's something you should know," the woman said carefully. Lila's hands went cold. She listened. Rowan had survived. He had been taken into care after that night. He had told his story, and he had been believed too. He was alive, and he was safe. That was all the information she was given, and it was enough. Lila excused herself and went outside, sitting on the back steps with the sun warming her face. She pressed her hands together and breathed. Alive. Safe. The guilt loosened its grip just enough for air to get in. That night, Charlie found her staring at the ceiling. "He made it, didn't he?" Charlie asked quietly. Lila nodded. Charlie reached over and squeezed her hand. "That's so good." They didn't need to say more. Years later, Lila would still remember the first day free. Not because it was perfect, but because it was the day she chose herself. She would grow into a woman who understood that strength didn't always look like fighting. It sometimes looked like leaving, asking for help, and staying when someone offered safety. She would learn that family could be chosen, that healing wasn't linear, and that survival, it's not something to be ashamed of. Sometimes when the world feels heavy, she'd think of that morning light through Charlie's curtains, of pancakes, of borrowed clothes, of a house where no one raised their voice. And she'd remind herself, freedom didn't begin with running. It began with being believed. If you are a kid or a teen who needs help, you are not alone. What you're experiencing matters. Help is available, and it's okay to ask for it. You can find confidential help in the United States at the National Child Abuse Hotline, 1-800-422-4453, or at the National Runaway Safe Line, 1-800-786-2929. If you're feeling overwhelmed and scared right now, please call or text 988, which is the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. If you're outside the U.S., local child protection services, school counselors, trusted teachers, or healthcare providers can help you connect to support in your country. You deserve safety. You deserve care. You deserve a future.